Yeah, I actually want to talk to you guys today about the dangers of abortion and the damage that it really does to lives because I also feel like I needed to give my testimony because of the amount of damage that I've done to myself and done to others. You know, I had committed the act 4 times in my life before finding Jesus Christ, and it really started out. I was raised in church. Baptist church in Brooklyn, New York, and we were raised about the principles of Jesus and everything else. But like a lot of church people, they don't live their lives in accordance with the word. Unless they're really born again. And at the age of 13, my parents divorced, but I always stayed close with both of my parents. And I really didn't think that I was lacking anything, but now that I'm a little bit older, I can actually see where, some of the ideas to commit abortions and do things come from. But I was 19 the first time that the act was committed. I was with a girl, like my first love. She was 18, I was 19, and we fornicated and fooled around, and she ended up pregnant. And it was actually more her idea the first time than mine because she came from the suburbs. She came from a big family and, they were pretty successful. And I think that she was more worried about it. Like me, I was more of, you're pregnant, we'll just do the right thing and take care of it. But, I think she was more concerned about her parents with all her family success and everything else. So she talked me into it, and we did, and we promised never to do it again. And just like so many other people's testimonies, I actually felt like, it was a numbness to it. You knew it was wrong, but I didn't really look at it at the time as murder. It was like a form of birth control. It was like, well, I've learned a new way to get myself out of jams. It's not so bad after all. And I mean, as messed up as that sounds, that's how I lived, And then there was another relationship I had at the age of 23, and she was 21. And, I was with her for a little bit, and she ended up pregnant. And at this point, this girl was really in love with me, wanted to work things out. Even though it was a sinful relationship, I myself at that point was like, well, I want to get married and stuff and do all that, but I don't want to do that with you. So you see, there was a different spirit that began to seep in. And, I do want to mention this too. Like growing up with my dad, I think I had some principles instilled in me that were not good, or they could be taken as bad. One of them was he told me that, find an up-to-date woman. An up-to-date woman in his mind was like, he called them, stallions. She had to be the beautiful one with the long hair and successful and doing all these things. Now, when you commit sin and you do things that are wrong, the lust doesn't just go away like that and wait until you find the one that you're looking for. But he painted in my mind really early what he thought was a beautiful woman, or a successful woman, or one that was right for me. And I lived by that. And I look back on it now, and the second situation that I'm talking about, she was, girl from the hood, and I mean, I was from the hood too, but it was still in my mind that she was not right for me. So, I wanted to have an abortion because, one, I'm in this situation and who I'm in the situation with, and not even realizing in my heart that I'm growing callous. I'm growing cold. I still yet had not looked at it as murder. And at the age of 27, I broke that girl's heart, and moved on. And you don't even realize the amount of damage you do to people and what you do to yourself, how you tear your soul. And I think that, I really want this to reach those guys out there and those women that have committed these acts, because it all begins in, trying to be someone, trying to be accepted, trying to go after the things that you want by unlawful and sinful means. It'll lead you down a rabbit hole that you can't dig yourself out of. So even After I thought I had given my life to Christ at 27, I met another woman, and we were in a pretty serious relationship. She had a kid, and well, two children actually, and I was in her life for a bit. I thought I had matured, but you can't really mature when you're sinning and fornicating. I mean, you can call yourself grown all you want, but your responsibility is just, to be a teenager, to play games, to be arrested in your development. And, I was with her for a bit. She ended up pregnant, and, same story. I thought that she was the one, but I recognized I don't think you are, and I don't want to be with you, and it was just so funny how I couldn't keep my hands off of her sleeping with her. But when it came time to when she's pregnant, I didn't want anything to do with her. And when she told me she was pregnant, I was looking at it like, and I am older now, so I should deal with this a little bit better, but I didn't. It was just more of that fear kicked in, that will to want to bring someone home that I thought was appropriate, and everything. And I broke her heart, and just told her I didn't want to have it. So she went and got the abortion. And I still stayed with her after that. At the age of, I'm now 30, 32. She's 30. So we were together for quite a while. And she got pregnant again. But there was something different this time, because I was like, I can't keep doing this. We got to do what's right, get married, have a kid. And she was the one that actually came over to me and said, I want to get an abortion. And I mean, she said it with a plain face. So what ended up happening is she also had the spirit of murder. And there is a callousness that you get to it that you really don't see it as murder. And you have little regard for the feelings of the people you're dealing with, because after all, you're not just going through that, they are too. And I remember after, during these experiences, that I would have dreams of my children. I would wake up sweating and crying, asking God to forgive me, because I just, I knew it was wrong, but I didn't have the strength in me to make it go away. So finally, in that last experience at the age of 32, I got right with the Lord, and He showed me the murder and all the things that I had to repent of, and He truly set me free. But it's not worth it, because when I look back on all those women that I hurt, I'm glad that they're all married now and they got themselves together. But, I'm 43 years old. I don't have children. There's a lot that I could have had, but I lived my life totally selfish. And I mean, it really does bind you. So I just want to say to people, it's not worth it. When you murder your children, and that's what it is, you don't just hurt you hurt the other people involved also, because a lot of trust issues came from that. A lot of promiscuity and sexual perversion came from it, because I thought that I found a relief to my sin, but there is no relief but Jesus Christ. And when you really want to be the best thing out there and you can't live it, it really does cause you to do some crazy things. Fear itself, can make you kill your own children. And, it wasn't until I had a dream at the age of 32 that I had a dream of one of my children, and the Lord was telling me that He had forgiven me. But even after He had forgiven me, there were years even later, like 5, 6 years, I still thought about it. It still crossed my mind, and the Lord had to tell me, you know what? You've been forgiven. Just don't do what you're doing, and move forward. But I mean, yes, I have been set free from it. I know it's something that I would never do again. But there's still a part of me that, you still wonder what your children would have been like. And God can put a peace around you. And it's not binding me in any way. But it's like, when you've been set free and you think about your sinful life, it disgusts you that you could actually be that person, that you were almost inhuman. So I just want to tell people, give your life to Jesus while it's time. Sin will only lead you down a rabbit hole that you do not want to go. And abortion itself is murder. And it's really premeditated murder, which is the worst kind. So I just want to say, I love you. Give your life to Jesus while it's time. If you've committed the act, pour out your heart to the Lord. Throw yourself on the altar before Him in all sincerity, and God will forgive you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. If we confess our sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us of those sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And there were even a few calls that I had to make to these people asking them to forgive me. And two of them said, I had already forgiven you. But it's the Lord still wanted me to let them know that, that what I did was wrong. I had to first make it right with Him, but then I had to call them also and just tell them that, I'm sorry for everything that I did to them. But, it doesn't really take away what they might be feeling. Have they been made whole with the Lord? I don't know. I've talked to them about the Lord, but who knows what they're living with today. So sin never pays, and abortion is the worst crime that has been legalized. And if you have been a partaker of it, ask God to forgive you and move past it and get yourself right with Him, because we're all going to see Him one day.